Om Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartribhyo Vamsha Rishibhyo Namo Gurubhyaha. We were looking at the third Brahmana in the third chapter, which is called Bhujyu Brahmana, because Bhujyu Lahyayani is the person who is questioning Yajnavalkya here. And Bhashyakara gives a big introductory bhashyam here, which is what we are seeing. So in the introduction to this Brahmana, Bhashyakara is saying that all karma, okay, which are mandated by either Shruti or Smritis, they are all mandated for the purpose of gaining punya, okay, and that punya alone is the sadhana for whatever karma phala we are expecting. Okay, punyam is the, in fact here he says punyamevacha karma sarva purushartha sadhanam. So it is the means for all the things desired by people. Punya is the means for that. Like that, different people, sarve shruti smriti vadaha, he says. So those who have a argument or those who have studied shruti smriti, they can consider like that, because all karma are supposed to produce punya. In which case, moksha also should be then a sadhya or an end, for which punyam itself is the means. Punyam is the means, again karma becomes the means for that. So he says that mokshasyapi purusharthatva. So moksha also is something, it is a desired end for people. And then that end also then should be attained or attainable by means of karma. Because the more the punya, the better is the phala, correct? So that also he says, yavat yavat punyot karshaha tavat tavat palot karshihi, or palot karsha praptihi, he says. So the kind of results we can get, it becomes better and better as we have more and more punya. Therefore, the greatest punya, uttamena punyotkarshena mokshaha bhavishyati. Like this, there can be an argument or a doubt, shanka can be there. Iti shanka, okay, syat, he says. Okay. Then that doubt has to be now cleared. For that only this particular Brahmanam is started, he says, because here it will be shown that even the highest phala you can get through karma is the Hiranyagarbha phala. And in this Brahmanam, the question is about how big or what is the parimana of that. Okay. That is the question, and the answer and all will be given to show that the Hiranyagarbha phala also is only limited, in the sense that the Hiranyagarbha loka itself has a certain dimension, etc. So Bhashyakara makes it very clear that this, whatever punya you may get by doing both karma and upasana. So jnana sahitasya cha prakritasya karmanaha. So what is the gati, or what is the state we can finally gain by karma and upasana? That also is only within the nama rupa jagat only. Okay. Vyakrita nama rupa aspadatvat, he says. But moksha is not a karya of any karma. It cannot be the phala of any karma. And moksha itself is beyond space-time. It is nitya. And it is not part of nama rupa. and it is not a phala associated with any karma or factors of karma. Therefore, karma has no business in moksha. That only has to be established here. Like this, he summarizes. Then we saw that the Purva Pakshi now comes in. He says, no, you are saying that moksha cannot be karma phala, but that is only true for normal karma. Okay, but if you mix karma with upasana and also you do nitya karma without any attachment to its results, nirabhisandhi and vishaya vidya sahitam karma, they have an argument here, then it have a different result, which is moksha itself. Okay, and for that they are giving the analogy of visha dadhyadivate, like even poison and dadhi. So normally they have a particular result, but when mixed with sharkara, like the curds mixed with sugar, has a different result. Curd by itself has a different result when you eat it, or poison if you eat it. Also there is a problem, but if it is mixed with some mantra, then it can have a different result. Like this, they are talking about different possibilities. Okay, so this is the argument given by the Purvapakshi. Therefore, karma and upasana itself should be able to produce moksha. Then Bhashyakara said that is not possible because moksha is not something which is started, and moksha is nothing but the destruction of bondage, and the bondage itself is only in the form of ignorance. Okay, it is not a real bondage also, and ignorance itself cannot be destroyed by karma because karma is not opposed to ignorance, only vidya is opposed to ignorance. Therefore, this it cannot be, moksha cannot be accomplished by karma. It is not the karma does not have the capability to do that. In fact, what karma is capable of, we all know because it is all drishta vishaya, he says. It is all seen by everybody. What is that? Karma can only give 4 types of results. It can create something like utpadayitum, prapayitum, vikartum, samskartum cha samarthyam karmanaha. So this is a very important statement. So Bhashyakara categorizes the results of karma as either that something which can be created or something which can be attained or reached, or something a karma can actually modify something or it can purify. So creation, reaching, modification and purification are the different types of results possible from karma. Karma is only capable of results in these categories, but moksha does not fall under any of these things because moksha is not created. Moksha, you don't have to reach somewhere newly, or it cannot be a modification of something, nor it is a purification of anything. So moksha is something different from all these things. He says that nacha mokshaha yesham padarthanam anyatamaha avidya matra vyavitaha iti avochama. So it is only the moksha itself is attained or accomplished only because you are separated from your own swarupa by your own ajnanam or avidya. Therefore, this is not a karma phala. Then the Purva Pakshi says, Badam, okay. But what I said is only kevalam karma, he says again. So kevalasya eva karmana evam swabhavata, he says. So whatever you mentioned, I agree. Karma can give 4 types of results and all that. That is only for just karma. But I am talking about vidya samyuktasya nirabhisandehe. This also again he repeats. So he says, I am talking now about karma which is along with upasana and which is not for any particular result. Okay, done with the aim of getting some particular result. For that, there is a different swabhava, he says. Its nature is different. Anyatha swabhavaha. And again, he quotes the same thing. See, anya shaktitvena nirnyatanam. So, normally the vishadadhyadinam, Visha and curd have been already ascertained to have a certain power or certain result, capability to produce certain result, but they can still produce something different. Okay, when they are mixed with things like, he says, Vidya, Mantra, Sharkaradi, Sanyuktanam, Anya Vishaye Samarthyam. We have also seen that. Therefore, similarly, Tata Karmana api astu iti chet. So I say it is similar in the case of karma mixed with upasana and also done without expecting a particular specific results. Means even for that, Bhashyakara says no. So up to this, I think we saw last time. Why? Because pramana bhavat. He says there is no pramana for whatever you are saying. So tatra hi karmanaha ukta vishaya vyatirekena vishayantare samarthya astitve pramanam na pratyaksham na anumanam na upamanam na arthapattihi na shabdaha asti. So all the pramana Bhashyakara relevant pramanas he lists in fact here. So he says Karmanaha ukta vishaya vyatirekena. See, whatever I have already said, correct? Utpadayatum, prapayatum, vikartum, samskartum, cha samarthyam karmanaha. Apart from these four, karma cannot have any other kind of phala. And for you to assert that it can have a different, produce a different kind of results, you have to only produce the pramana, correct? Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, we say. So you have to give, and there is no, he says, there is no pratyaksha pramana or anumana, inference, nor any comparison or arthapati, which is like a two-step inference, correct? Anyatha anubhavati. Otherwise, it is not possible. Like that also you cannot arrive at it. Nor there is direct Veda pramana also is not there. Veda Shabda also is not there. None of these pramanas, Anupalabdhi will not apply here. So Shastra Bhashyakara does not list it. Okay, so in all these five pramanas which can be utilized to establish something, none of this applies here, he says. Now, but the Purva Pakshi is not going to stop. In fact, there is a very big argument. So we'll see. So now initially what he says, let us see. It's interesting. He says, Nanu phalantara abhave chodana anyatha anupapattihi pramanam iti. So he says, no. The Nitya Karma has been specified by the Veda, and there has not been any specific results for that has not been mentioned, correct? Phala has not been mentioned for it. And other than moksha, there cannot be any other phala also for this Nitya Karma. That's what we have ascertained, okay? That is our contention. Otherwise, the Veda wouldn't have even asked you to do it, correct? Chodana means basically an injunction or a mandate. So Veda is asking you to do Nitya Karma. And it has not said any result for that. It has not specifically mentioned any result. And no other result can be assigned for that Nitya Karma. Therefore, it should have this moksha as the phala. That is the anyatha anupapatti. He is saying arthapatti can still be applied. This anyatha anupapatti means otherwise Veda wouldn't have mandated you. Without a phala, Veda wouldn't have mandated you to do something. Therefore, moksha has to be considered. Otherwise, the chodana or the injunction by the Veda will become nirarthaka. Okay, it will not have any purpose. So that cannot be possible. Therefore, we have to take moksha like that. That is the argument they are giving. That is the pramana, he says. Arthapati is the pramana. And he further explains that interestingly. Here he says, Nahi nityanam karmanam vishwajit nyayena phalam kalpyate. So first see, there is one nyaya in the Purva Mimamsa called Vishwajit Nyaya. So there is a Vedic mandate saying Vishwajita Yajeta. So you do Vishwajit Yaga. Vishwajit Yaga is in fact in which you actually give everything which you have as Dhanam, etc. But Vishwajita Yajeta is there, but no Phala is mentioned in the Veda for the Vishwajit Yaga. Then the Purva Mimamsakas actually have a principle. What is the principle? There cannot be any Vaidika karma mandated or specified without any phala. But if there is some karma which is mentioned in the Veda and for which specific phala is not mentioned, then Swarga has to be considered as that phala. Okay, Sas Swargasyat Avishishtatvat, like that. There is a Vakya is there. Swarga is the phala wherever Avishishtatvat means what? Wherever specific phala is not mentioned, Swarga has to be considered as the phala for that. This nyaya or a principle of interpretation is there. Therefore, why can't we say that Nitya Karma also should have Swarga as the phala? So the Purva Pakshi is anticipating our argument. So he is now saying you cannot have Vishwajit Nyaya applied here. You cannot apply the Vishwajit Nyaya and say that Swarga is the phala. So that you cannot do. So what is his argument? In fact, Bhashyakara, later on it will come, but if you read the Anandagiri makes it very clear what argument or how the Purva Mimamsakas argue in this case to say that Vishwajit Nyaya cannot be applied. The Purva Mimamsakas argument is whenever a chodana or an injunction is there, Vaidika injunction, the injunction is directed towards a particular person, correct? Who should be or whoever is mandated by that injunction, by the vidhi. See, if there is a vidhi, means basically it is a command. Somebody is commanded, correct? So that person has to be identified. For identifying that only, we use Vishwajit Nyaya. Who is the person to be, or who is the person who is commanded by a particular command or an injunction or a vidhi? Okay. Or it is called Niyoga and Niyojya in Purva Mimamsaka. Niyoga means, Niyoga also means an injunction only. And Niyojya means one who is commanded by that particular vidhi. In this case, Vishwajit Nyaya cannot apply because Yavad Jivan, you have to do this. Yavad Jivam means what? Till the time one lives, one have to do Nitya Karma. So whoever is living, that person, for that person, this command will apply. So Veda Vidhi, to whom it applies, for that purpose only we use the Vishwajit Nyaya is their contention. And in this case, we already know that whoever lives, and until the time one is living, one has to do the Nitya Karma. Therefore, the person on whom this Vidhi is mandated is determined by that itself. Therefore, Vishwajit Nyaya need not be applied. That is their contention here. This also Bhashyakara will negate later on, we'll see. And also, so he says Vishwajit Nyaya cannot apply here for Nitya Karma because the whoever is living has to do it. Therefore, that is clear to whom, on whom it is mandated. Then Napi Shrutam Phalam Asti, he says. But there is no specific result also mentioned. But the Chodana is there, correct? Chodyante cha Tani. But it is there. The Veda has mandated that everybody has to do till the time they live, they have to do the Nitya Karma. Therefore, we have to now find out some phala for that because a Vaidika karma cannot be there without any phala. Therefore, he says parishesha by the principle of residuum. Okay. What is that? Parisheshat mokshaha tesham phalamiti gamyate, he says. So, therefore, no other phala can apply here. And we have to take moksha as the phala. So, this is their argument now. Otherwise, he says, Anyatahi Purusha na pravarteran. Otherwise, nobody will engage in Nitya Karma. Unless there is a phala mentioned for that, nobody, even a manda, phalam anuddishya mandopi na pravartate, like that it is said, without expecting a particular result, even a dull person will not engage in that. So, otherwise, the people will not engage in the Nitya Karma. Why should they do every day or whatever, periodically something until the time they live without actually having any result? Therefore, we say that moksha is the result for that. Like this argument, they are making. Now Bhashyakara says, no, no. Bhashyakara is saying, Nanu, Vishwajit Nyaya eva ayataha. He says, no, no. Even though you say Vishwajit does not apply here, actually you are applying only the Vishwajit Nyaya. Why? Because mokshasya phalasya kalpitatvat. You have actually now, even though you say, no, no, Vishwajit Nyaya is for only mandating to find out for on whom the vidhi is mandated. That's not so. After saying that, you are in any way only talking about a phala, correct? You have finally assigned a phalam, moksha as the phala. So by assigning moksha as a phala, you are still using only Vishwajit Nyaya. Even though you are trying to nicely word it and camouflage it, in reality, you have anyway applied the Vishwajit Nyaya, no? Because Vishwajit Nyaya itself is saying that if there is no phala specifically mentioned for any karma, Swarga has to be assigned. Now, instead of Swarga, if you say moksha has to be assigned, you only have to now say what is the difference between Swarga and moksha and why moksha should be assigned in this case and not Swarga. Okay. So he explains that further. See here. मोक्षे वा अन्यस्मिन् वा फले अकल्पिते पुरुषाः न प्रवर्तेरनिति मोक्षः फलं कल्प्यते श्रुतार्थ आपत्या यथा विश्वजिति. He says, so why Bhashyakara says only Vishwajit Nyaya you are anyway applying? Because he says, let us say moksha or any other phala is not given, okay, and if that such a phala is not actually assigned to a particular karma, then people will not engage in that. Purushaha na pravarter. That is fine. So based on this principle, if you assign a particular phala to that, correct, whether it is moksha or swarga, whatever it is, because otherwise Shruti will not ask you to do something, correct? That is the Shrutartha apatya, means what is this? Arthapati only again. So basically, the Shruti cannot otherwise ask you to do something unless there is a phala. So based on that principle, if you assign a particular phala, that is still Vishwajit Nyaya only. Whether it is that actual phala you are assigning is moksha or swarga, it doesn't matter. The principle is the same. Therefore, he says, Nanu evam sati katham uchyate Vishwajit Nyaya na bhavati iti. So that being the case, correct? In this case also, it is the same thing. Finally, you are only assigning the phala. Therefore, how you can say that Vishwajit Nyaya is not used here? Okay. And so he further explains that. He says, Phalancha kalpyate. So you are anyway actually assigning a particular phala or the result. And then still says, Vishwajit Nyayascha na bhavati iti. But Vishwajit Nyaya, that principle is not applied, you are saying. That is contradictory, he says. So Vipratisiddham abhidhiyate. So whatever you are saying denotes that there is a contradiction. Vipratisiddha is there. Like this Bhashyakara points out. Once he points it out, Purva Pakshi does something very interesting. He says, Moksha phalameva na bhavati iti chet. So what if I say moksha is not a result at all? Okay, moksha is not a result. What if I say like that? Only if I agree that moksha is a phala, you will say that no, you have assigned moksha as a phala for the karma, and you are still using only Vishwajit Nyaya. I am saying moksha is not a phala. Okay. Then Bhashyakara says, if you say that, also no, whatever you are saying is not proper, because pratignya hana. In fact, whatever initial statement you made, that is the pratignya, that itself is now gone, because you said moksha is a phala of karma along with upasana, and karma not done for any specific phala, correct? So moksha phala is there. That's how you started. Your initial statement itself, that your pratignya is that, and now you have given up that by saying that moksha is not even a phala. So what was his pratignya? Bhashyakara reminds that. He says, karma karyantaram vishadadhyadivat arabhata iti hi pratignatam. So you said that karma will give you results like even visha and dadi, like some other result. Okay, and therefore only one has to do that, correct? One has to start and do it. Like this you said. Sachen mokshaha karmanaha karyam phalameva na bhavati. Sa pratignya hiyate. So then now if you say that moksha is not the karya or the effect of karma, and it is not even a phala. So if the effect of karma is moksha, but it is not a phala, if you say like that, your pratignya itself will be gone. Whatever the initial statement, however you started your entire argument, that itself will be gone now. You will lose it. Further, what he says, karma karyatvecha mokshasya swargadi phalebhyaha visheshaha vaktavyaha. So now if you say that yes, moksha is karma karya or the effect of doing karma, then the Vishwajit Nyaya only you are applying really. And in which case, you have to now tell me what is the specific or what is so special that instead of assigning Swarga as the phala, which is the normal thing to do, now you are saying specially I will assign moksha as the phala. Correct? What is the Vishesha then? You only have to now tell me what is the difference, because only for Nitya Karma, where no specific phala has been mentioned, you want to assign moksha as the phala rather than swarga. So swargadi palebhyaha mokshasya visheshaha vaktavyaha is. So what is the difference here, or what is special? Further, what atha karma karyam na bhavati nityanam karmanam phalam mokshaha ityasyaha vachana vyaktehe kaha arthaha iti vakyam. Otherwise, no, if you still maintain no, moksha is not a phala, it is not a karma karya. If you maintain that, then what is the meaning of the sentence you initially said? Your pratignya, what is the meaning of the pratignya you made, saying that by doing nitya karma along with upasana and not really for a specific result, we'll get moksha, like that? You only told that the moksha is nitya karma karya. What is the meaning of that sentence? Otherwise, you have to say, you have to give a different meaning, etc. He says. So, and further, in fact, Bhashyakara doesn't leave there. He says, Nacha karya phala shabda bheda matrena visheshaha shakyaha kalpayitu. So he says, the Purvamimamsaka can say the karya is different from phala. So you can have an effect for karma, but it need not be considered as a result. This is all some hair splitting of semantics, I think. You cannot do all that he says. Karya, phala, there is a difference between what is a karya and what is a phala. Like that, you cannot create a certain difference and say that is the speciality. Moksha is a karya, but it is not a phala. Can you say that? Means you cannot say that also. You cannot impute anything like that, because he says aphalancha mokshaha nityaischa karmabhihi kriyate nityanam karmanam phalam na karyam iti cha yeshartaha vipratishiddha abhidiyate yatha agnihi shitaha iti. So you cannot make statements like he says aphalam cha moksha. Moksha is not a phala, because everybody accepts that moksha is already there. So you cannot have it as a result, correct? Moksha, if you want to have a nitya moksha, then it cannot start in time. This much logic, even Purvamimamsakas are all intelligent people, correct? They also accept that. So they cannot claim that it is not a result which is starting in time. That they accept. But it is still an effect of nitya karma. Like that, if you say, without being the result, it is an effect which you, or which is, it is a something you attain by this nitya karma. Like that, you cannot say. Or you cannot say it is the result of nitya karma, but it is not an effect, whichever way it is. So like this kind of meaning and all you cannot give. It is all contradictory, he says. Vipratishiddha abhidiyate. It will only point out to some contradiction, like saying fire is cold. Yatha agnihi shitaha iti. Like this, it will become. So once Bhashyakara points out this, then he says, you are pointing a finger at me. What about you? Okay, the Purvamimamsaka says, you also accept that moksha is nitya phala, but it is attainable through jnanam. So you are saying it is jnana karyam. To attain moksha, you require jnanam, you are saying. but it is not something which starts in time also. You are saying it is already accomplished and all that. You are the person who is talking about accomplishing the accomplished. Then what is the reason you are giving for that? Now you tell me. So he says, Jnanavad iti chet. So this is the answer the Purva Pakshi is giving. Then Bhashyakara now explains. This portion of Bhashya is very, very important Bhashya, highly quoted also. So yatha jnanasya karyam mokshaha. So now the Purva Pakshi only explains. Yata jnanasya karyam mokshaha jnanena akriyamanaha api uchyate tadvat karma karyatvam iti chet. So he says, you are also saying moksha is jnana karya. It is the effect, or it is something which is obtained by knowledge, but it is not created by knowledge. You are saying jnanena akriyamanaha. You are saying both. So similarly, why can't I say that karma, through karma only you attain moksha, but it is not created by karma. So it is not a phala or a karya. Okay. Or you can consider it as a phala, but it is not a karya. Or other way around, whichever way you say it. When you say it is okay, but when I say it is wrong, how can you say that? He is asking. No Bhashyakara answer. See here. Na. See, I can say that. Why he is explaining that? Because what? Ajnana nivartakatvat jnanasya. So jnana is the one which destroys or removes ajnanam, ignorance. Okay. And further what? Ajnana vyavadhana nivartakatvat jnanasya mokshaha jnana karyam iti upacharyate. So when we say moksha is jnana karyam, or the effect of jnana, it is only a figurative usage. It is only upachara, because jnana really only destroys ajnana, which is the gulf or the distance, you can say, correct? Ajnana only creates a so-called distance between whatever you have accomplished, but you do not know that. So that is the difference, correct? Then now whatever is actually siddha, by ajnanam alone it has become sadhya. Therefore, by destroying that ajnana, siddha has become siddha again, correct? Whatever is already accomplished becomes unaccomplished due to ignorance. Therefore, what do you do? The knowledge only destroys the ignorance, thereby the accomplished again becomes accomplished. That's only, but when we say that through knowledge you gain moksha, it's only a figurative usage. So really nothing like that is there. Okay. So we can say that because the distance is only purely in terms of ignorance. It's not a real distance which we are covering through jnanam, correct? Or it is not a real phala we are attaining through knowledge. Whatever you wanted to attain, it is already attained only, or it is already accomplished. The only problem was ajnanam or ignorance. So that is fine. We can use it in a figurative manner like that. In our case, it is not a problem. But for you, it is a problem. Why? Natu karmana nivartayitavyam ajnanam. So this ajnana cannot be removed by karma, because why? Nacha ajnana vyatirekena mokshasya vyavadhananantaram kalpayitum shakyam. Okay. First he says ajnana cannot be used for removing, karma cannot be used for removing ajnana. Okay. So ajnanam cannot be something which can be removed by karma. And other than ajnanam, so nacha ajnana vyatirekena. So other than ignorance, this moksha itself vyavadhanantaram kalpayitum shakyam. So you cannot imagine or impute any other reason for attaining this moksha, correct? Moksha becomes a sadhya only due to ajnanam. There is no other cause for that, or no other reason you can impute for that. And only ajnanam being the reason for bandha, and also for moksha being a purushartha, jnanam alone is the means for that. So he explains that further. Why we say that ajnanam alone is the distance. Okay, is that he says nityatvat mokshasya. Moksha is nitya, it is eternal. Sadhaka swarupa avyatirekach, and it is not different from oneself. See, oneself is already there, correct? There's nothing to be newly created or anything. Basically, you do not know yourself. That is the only problem. Then you know yourself. You have not created anything new by that. Okay. But karma cannot be used for this purpose. Karma can be only used for all those other 4 categories of results we have already listed. So you cannot say karma can be used to remove ajnanam. That is not the capability of karma. Karma does not have that power. So yet karmana nivartyeta. So whatever can be accomplished by karma, that cannot be imputed here, because here the only issue is ignorance, no other issue. So he says like this. Then the Purva Bakshi says, why can't I say that karma will remove ajnana? So he says, ajnanam eva nivartayati iti chet. So if I say karma only removes ajnanam, why cannot I say that? Means Bhashyakara, no, you cannot say. Why? Vilakshanatvat. Because this karma and ajnanam, they are not connected in any way. They are not, like one is not the virodhi of the other, or one is not opposed to the other. Okay. So he explains that further, how anabhivyaktihi ajnanam. So ajnana is anabhivyakti, means what? It is basically some kind of a covering, correct? Ajnana is a, so abhivyakti means something which is evident. Something, when it becomes evident, then you know that, correct? But when something is not evident, covered, that is anabhivyakti. So that is ajnana. When something is not clearly evident, that is ignorance. And abhivyakti lakshanena jnanena viruddhyate. And this ajnanam is opposed to jnanam in the form of something becoming evident to you. Okay. Karma tu na ajnanena viruddhyate, but karma is not opposed to this jnanam. Therefore, karma is not opposed to ajnana. So karma tu na ajnanena viruddhyate, tena jnana vilakshanam karma. Therefore, this karma is different from jnana. Jnana alone is opposed to ajnanam. Karma is not opposed to ajnanam. In this way, jnanam and karma are different, he says. That is the vilakshanatvam, he says. Vilakshana means something which is different. So in this case, what Bhashyakara is pointing out is, in fact, karma and ajnanam are together. One cannot oppose the other, but jnana is very different from karma, and that is the only thing which is opposed to ajnanam. Therefore, whatever you say that ajnana is removed by karma is not possible. And further he explains that. So whichever way you consider ajnanam to be, whether it is, say, now he says, yadi jnana abhavaha, yadi samshaya jnanam, yadi viparita jnanam va uchyate ajnanam iti. So ajnanam or ignorance can be considered as lack of knowledge, or samshaya jnanam, or some doubtful knowledge, correct? So vagueness and all can be there, or viparita jnanam, knowing something as other. All these cases are there, correct? When we talk about ignorance, it can be talked about in all these manner. Something which you don't know totally also is ignorance. Or you know something but not properly. Or you know something as another, like seeing a snake on the rope. All these things are ajnanam only. Okay. So all these things, they are all removed only by jnana, he says. Okay. So sarvam hi tat jnaneneva nivartyate. So all these different types of ignorance, all of them jnaneneva nivartyate, it is all removed only by jnana. Okay. Natu karmana, it is not removed by any karma or action. Anyatamena api virodha abhava. That is because karma is not opposed to any of these things, whether it is jnana abhava or viparita jnana or samshaya jnana, any of these things, none of them karma is opposed to. Therefore, whatever you are saying is not proper. Now the Purva Pakshi comes and says something very interesting. He says, Atha adrishtam karmanam ajnana nivartakatvam kalpyam iti chet. Okay, whatever you are saying is all about drishta phalam. Let me say karma produces punya, which is adrishta, and that adrishtam punyam will destroy ajnanam. Okay, why cannot I say that? Okay, then Bhashyakara now gives a very interesting principle here. So let us see that, very interesting. So he says, na, even that is not, you cannot say that punya will destroy ajnana. Why? Because he says, jnanena ajnana nivrittau gamyamananam adrishta nivritti kalpana anupapatte. He says, see, drishta phala is there. Everybody sees that knowledge destroys ignorance. This is well known to everybody. That being the case, you cannot come and now give some imaginary explanation that only punya has to come and remove this ajnanam. Okay, adrishta nivritti kalpana, he says. So your imagination that adrishta, this karma produces adrishta, and that adrishta removes ajnanam. Like this, there is no need to imagine anything. Everybody knows that knowledge removes ignorance. That itself is good enough. And so he now further explains that principle. He says, Yatha avaghatena vrihinam tusha nivrittau gamyamananam agnihotradi nitya karma karya adrishta na kalpyate tusha nivrittihi. So he says, see, even as part of some Vaidika karma, it is said that you pound the rice. Okay, this threshing of rice you can do. So avaghata means it is all threshing of the rice to remove the husk. Okay, so you have to remove the husk before you cook the rice and offer it as an offering, correct? So havis, to make havis, you have to first thresh the rice. Now threshing of rice itself can remove the husk. That is all well known, correct? That being the case, you cannot say that Agnihotra or some Vaidika karma will produce some punya, and that punya will come and actually remove the husk from the rice. If somebody gives an explanation like that, how ridiculous it is. It is like that. That's what you are saying now, he says. So whatever karma phala which is drishta, when already it is there, some drishta phala is there, whatever is well known to everybody, why should you give some other explanation which makes no sense here? Okay, which is not required really. So whatever you are saying is like saying that to remove the husk from the rice, one has to do Agnihotra karma, and that Agnihotra karma's punya will come and remove the husk. Nobody needs to say that. Simply say that you actually pound the rice or thresh it, that husk will go away, correct? This is well known already. So for whatever there is a drishta phalam, you don't have to imagine an adrishta for that. That is the principle, he says. Whenever we interpret the Veda also, this principle has to be applied. So therefore, yatha, okay, tusha nivritti, this we say. Therefore, he says, tadvat ajnana nivrittihi api nitya karma karya adrishtana kalpyate. So therefore, even for removal of ignorance, you don't have to imagine that it is the result of adrishta phala. We all know that by knowledge only it is removed. That is a drishta phala is there already. Therefore, what he says, jnanena viruddhatvam cha asakrit karmanam avochama. So he says, we have already said many times. Asakrit means many times. Okay, or repeatedly we have said that jnana only is opposed to this ajnanam, and karma is also opposed to jnana because of that. In fact, karma goes along with ajnana, and karma is opposed to jnana. This we have said many times. Therefore, what? Yet aviruddham jnanam karma bihi tad devaloka prapti nimittam iti uktam vidyaya devaloka iti shrutehe. So even jnana or vidya, the word can be used with reference to upasana also. Such upasana is anyway, it is also a mental karma. That is not opposed to the jnana which we are talking about. That also has been mentioned by the Shruti also. We have accepted that for that anyway, the result is only devaloka. Moksha is not the result. Okay. When you talk about vidyaya karmana pitrulokaha, vidyaya devalokaha, iti in Brhadaranyaka only we saw already in the first chapter, 5th Brahmana. So that we are accepting. We have no problem. But the result is not moksha in that case. It is only devaloka or swarga. But you are now actually imagining something else. So he says, kincha anyat kalpyate cha phale nityanam karmanam shrutanam yat karma bihi virudhyate द्रव्य गुण कर्माणां कार्यमेव न भवति किं तत् कल्प्यताम् यस्मिन् कर्मणां सामर्थ्यम् एव न दृष्टं किं वा यस्मिन् दृष्टं सामर्थ्यं यच्च कर्मणां फलम् अविरुद्धं तत् कल्प्यताम् इति. So now Bhashyakara tries to explain him the principle which should be used to ascertain a certain result of action, correct? He says, so in this case he says, let us say that we all know that for Nitya Karma, there is no specific result given by the Shruti. That being the case, what is the result we should assign to that? Okay. So there are two options. In fact, according to you now, what you are doing, there is no specific result specified by the Shruti, correct? Shrutanam, Nityanam Karmanam, Anyat Kalpye cha phale. So now you have to actually find out what is the result. Okay. But whatever you are assigning as a karma phala for the Nitya Karma, what if it is opposed to karma itself? Because jnana is opposed to karma, we are saying. And this jnana or moksha is really opposed to karma. And in fact, it is what? Dravya guna karmanam karimeva na bhavati. It is not really a result or an effect of either a substance or a quality or even any action. Okay. Moksha is not a result of any of these things. Dravya guna karmanam karyameva na bhavati. That moksha you are now trying to assign as the result of karma. And that moksha which itself is opposed to karma. So whenever you are assigning some result to something, what should you assign really? Okay. If you are assigning a karma phala, that karma phala should be within the capability of karma, correct? So that's what he says. Yasmin karmanaha samarthyameva na drishtam. So in this case, by assigning moksha as the karma phala, you are assigning something which is not even within the range of karma, correct? It is not something which is actually attainable by doing any karma. Or now you should assign something. Kimva yasmin drishtam samarthyam. See, when you are assigning a karma phala, should you assign something which is not even a karma phala, or should you assign whatever is possible by doing karma? And that karma phalam should be aviruddham. Means it is not opposed to karma also. So when considering like this, you have to only assign something which is not opposed to karma, correct? So that alone you have to assign there. So tat kalpyatam iti. So whatever karma phala you are assigning to the nitya karma should be not opposed to karma, and it should be something which is possible by doing karma. Instead of that, you are wildly imagining that which is not even a karma phala and that which is opposed to karma. So like this, he summarizes that. And further he says, Purusha pravritti jananaya avashyam chet karma phalam kalpayitavyam karma aviruddha vishayaha eva shrutartha apattehe kshinatvat nityaha moksha phalam kalpayitum na shakyaha tad vyavadhana ajnana nivrittihi va aviruddhatvat drishta samarthya vishayatvat cha iti parishesha nyayat moksha eva kalpayitavyaha iti chet. So now Bhashyakara further summarizes his arguments. He says, Purusha Pravritti Jananaya, for people to actually engage in this Nitya Karma, okay, Avashyam Chet Karma Phalam Kalpaitavyam. So let us say that Karma Phala has to be definitely assigned, because if there is no Phala, nobody will engage in that. This much is fine. That being the case, Karma Aviruddha Vishayaha eva Shrutartha Apattehe, he says. So whatever we are assigning using Arthapatti, otherwise it is not possible is the principle here. But whatever you assign also should be karma aviruddha vishaya, if you say. Okay, then it is fine. Whatever is not opposed to karma only, you have to assign. Okay, because the karma phala itself is kshina, means it will go away, correct? It is limited, it is all non-eternal. Okay, but and that being the case, mokshaha phalam kalpayitum na shakyaha, he says. That being the case, the karma phala itself being limited, you cannot assign the limitless result, which is freedom. That phala cannot be assigned to that or imagined. You cannot imagine a limitless result for karma, really, because karma phala is all kshina, it will all go away, it is all non-eternal. And further, what? Tad vyavadhana ajnana nivrittihi. Also, you cannot say karma will result in destruction of ajnana, because ajnana alone is the distance between moksha and bandha. Okay, so that ajnana also you cannot say will be destroyed by karma, and because of that you will get moksha. All these things you cannot imagine. You should only assign something which is possible by karma, he says. Therefore, what? Aviruddhatvat Drishta samarthyatvacha iti parishesha nyayat moksha eva kalpayitavyaha iti chet. So you cannot assign this moksha. Why? Because he says that this karma is not a virodha of ajnana, and also we know from drishta, from everybody's experience, we know that only jnanam is opposed to ajnanam. Due to all these things, you cannot say parishesha nyaya I will use and I will assign moksha as the result. That na shakyaha, kalpayitum na shakyaha, you cannot do that. Okay, if you say like that, okay, finally now Purvapakshi comes again. So this is what the Siddhanti is saying, or in fact in this particular statement you can even say that now the Purvapakshi is paraphrasing the Siddhanti's argument. So this is what you are saying finally. Now he goes further and says, no. This Purvapakshi says, Sarvesham hi karmanam sarvam phalam nacha anyat itara karma phala vyatirekena phalam kalpana yogyam asti parishishtascha mokshaha sacha ishtaha vedavidam phalam tasmat sayeva kalpayitavyaha iti chet. So now you are giving me all this gyan that I have to only give the result which is not opposed to karma, and moksha is not a karma phala, etc. Now let me say all the results are only karma phala. Sarvesham hi karmanam sarvam phalam, he says. Any result which is possible has to be only due to karma. That's why they are called karmatha. Karmatha means what? They are all very much committed to only doing karma. So he says any result which is possible to be attained is only possible through karma. Whatever you are saying, jnanam and all that is fine. That is also some kind of karma only, he says. So he says, finally he is only saying this. He says anything which we can really attain, all that has to be attained only by karma. Sarvesham hi karmanam sarvam phalam, he says. Nacha anyat itara karma phala vyatirekena phalam kalpana yogyam asti. So you cannot even imagine anything other than karma phala. Okay, some other result which is not possible due to karma, like that nothing can be really imagined, he says. You cannot do any kalpana, or nothing is fit to be imagined as something which is not possible through karma. Therefore, I still maintain that parishishtascha mokshaha. Therefore, the only phala which is left out in the Shruti that can be assigned to the Nitya karma, because all other phala are not fit to be assigned for Nitya karma, he says. And only phala which is left out is moksha. Therefore, again the principle of residuum I will apply, and I say that moksha is the phala. And also moksha is also the desired result for all the Vedavid. He says, Sacha ishtaha Vedavidam phalam. So moksha being an ishtaphala, and that being not mentioned as the result of any particular karma, and on the other hand, nitya karma also being mandated for everybody who is living, but it does not have any specific result mentioned. We will then connect the two and say that moksha is the nitya karma phala. Therefore, he says, Tasmat Sayeva Kalpaitavyaha. So if I say like this, then what? Iti chet na. Again, Bhashyakara says, no. Why? He says, Karma Phala Vyakti Nam Anantyat Parisheshya Nyaya Anupapatte. Now he says another point Bhashyakara brings out. He says, see, Parisheshya, residual principle and all that is possible only when you have a limited set of results, correct? If there are a limited set of results, and in that you have taken, you have whatever eliminated everything, whatever remaining then has to apply. This kind of a principle is there even in math theorem and all. We actually derive like that, correct? If you have done that. So this principle of residuum applies only when the possibility, the result possibilities are limited to a particular set of outcomes. Now that is not possible in the case of karma and karma phala, because he says karma phala vyakti nam anantyat, he says. So the individual results of action are countless. So where is the parisheshya here? You cannot even apply the parisheshya nyaya. So he says parisheshya nyaya anupapatte. So he says nahi purusha ichha vishayanam karma phalanam etavatvam nama kenachit asarvajnena avadritam. So those who are asarvajnaha means what? Those who do not have sarvajnatvam, all knowing. All of us are not all knowing. In fact, none of us are all knowing. And for us, we cannot really ascertain that only so many are there, karma phalas. Because karma themselves are countless. And karma phala also is countless. Therefore, nobody who is not omniscient can say with certainty that only so many karma phalas are possible, and more than this it is not there. And in this also everything else we have accounted for, and only moksha alone is remaining. All these claims nobody can make. Therefore, whatever this parisheshya nyaya you are saying, that also is not applicable here. So this is what he says. Rest of the things we'll see next week. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.